Well, it's been 2 months since I did my last post, and well, I can only apologize about that. I'm a lazy git, and that's what happens. I think also I'd like to just say that I've been under a bit of a cloud. And this cloud, I don't think I'm alone under this cloud. I think a lot of I think a lot of people in Nigeria right now are going through this. It's been really tough. Tough going for everyone, I think. And do you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of when I did my A-level exams. And you do your A-levels and you have to spend that whole summer waiting for the results. And these results, as far as you're concerned, they're going to change your whole life. It's going to determine what university you go to. It's going to determine what course you can get on. It's going to determine the rest of your life. And so you're living in the summer. You live under this. You're having funny dreams because you're living under uncertainty. You're living under fear. You don't know what the future holds. That is how I feel right now living in my country. That's how I feel right now about being in Nigeria. For the first time since moving back, I've genuinely had to consider that I might have to move out of Nigeria. Even the whole time I was at school in Nigeria, I always knew I was going to move back home. I didn't know when, but moving back. Like my family's here. I was always going to come back home. But now, for the first time, I thank God I might have to leave. That's where my mind is at right now, and the reason is because times are really tough here for everyone. I will start with just explaining that, for example, the salary that I negotiated for myself, 2 years ago, obviously has not increased in that time because there has been no inflation in the country in that time. But in the meanwhile, the Naira has depreciated against absolutely every other currency in value, so against the dollar, for example. And this means that what I'm taking home is now the equivalent of about half of what I was taking home 2 years ago, which shouldn't matter in probably most other countries because you will still be able to buy your goods and whatever and services at the Naira rate. But no, here we import everything. So because we're importing everything, everything's going up in price. And when I'm talking about everything, I'm talking about very simple things. I'm talking about food. There was a time when I remember running around looking for, because I use UHT milk and my daughter drinks it. I'm running around looking for UHT milk. It wasn't even coming into the country because people were struggling, to bring it in. So there's, so simple foods in the market, like a cup of rice or gari or whatever, that's all gone up in price. So your salary is half, what you're taking home is half, but everything you need, so food, petrol, services, medical, all of that is going up in price. So that's the first kind of, and this, of course, has completely messed with my plans to be saving fuck you money, because I had this plan that I was gonna pare down on a lot of extravagances, and then I was gonna save my money and I was gonna get rich. It was a plan. You know whose fault it is. I have someone who sent me an article, and it just caused this whole chain reaction in my head. But unfortunately, because absolutely everything's gone up, it's been damn near impossible to put anything away. So that's the first sort of situation. Then we're going to go on to food's expensive. I'm going to talk about simple food. So like eggs, for example, my dad was explaining the chain reaction of the whole thing to me. You have to buy the feed for the chicken. Feed for the chicken is not available in this country. You have to buy it. It's expensive. So now you are looking after maybe you're paring down so anyway, eggs are expensive is my point. The chain reaction comes from somewhere, and before you know it, tomatoes or apples or rice or like gari or okra, simple Nigerian food that you should be able to afford is now becoming more and more expensive every time. So that's my first complaint, I guess. And you know how important food is to me, so that has put me under the cloud. Then we're going to talk about, just medical, for example. I'm not even going to talk about, anything too complicated. I had a horrible story the other day about some woman she came into my office and she'd lost her baby. Not even a baby, a 2-year-old child. And why? Because the hospital didn't have platelets in stock. Why didn't they have platelets? It's probably because it's too expensive to bring in or to put in the fridge. I don't even know. She had to get in her car and run around looking for platelets. By the time she got back to the hospital, her child was dead. If that doesn't make you feel insecure, I don't know what should. I mean, I've heard all kinds of stories. It's not a news story. It's kind of stuff that happens all the time. The other day, I'm in my office and my friend is telling me that her friend couldn't find vaccinations for her child. Why? Because they weren't able to afford to bring them in and store it and all that kind of stuff. So do you understand the chain reaction of us not being able to get vaccines into our country and vaccinate our children? We're not talking about maybe this generation, but next generation, unvaccinated Nigerians running around. I'm just saying, I'm not trying to be a drama queen. I'm not trying to be like an alarmist. I'm just saying where my mind is going on these situations. So that's the medical insecurity of my country. Now let's just talk about the security insecurity of my country. We have, and someone threw out a number the other day, it's about 80% of our graduates are unemployed right now. So people are going to school, spending like 10 years in university, let's not even talk about that, but they can't get jobs. There are no jobs available. A lot of the international companies have packed up and left because it's too expensive to run business here, and to be it's no longer a viable value proposition. So they've packed up and they've left. A whole lot of people are unemployed. A lot of businesses have had to close down because it's a hostile environment out there economically. So you can't even run your business. People are coming and shutting down and breaking down people's businesses, and people are unemployed. So you have joblessness, unemployment. People are roaming the streets. They're hungry, they're homeless, and they're resentful, rightfully so. But this makes an insecure situation. I don't necessarily believe in our policing, because they're not getting paid either. So they don't have any incentive to really put their life on the line for you like in other countries. It's not necessarily a vocation like it is in other places. So here we have, I mean, I heard there was a mob the other day. We'll call it a mob, but they didn't get rowdy. But they were walking the streets, all dressed in black, about 50 of them, taken to a cafe, so not even far away from me, like that, walking the streets, and all they were saying, we are tired. We are tired. And people sitting around watching with nothing to do didn't need to understand exactly what they were tired about, because they understood. Everybody's tired. And they got up and they joined in, and they caused some kind of like complete 2-hour traffic. It didn't make the news. No one's really, it just happened. But people are tired. And I don't know what's going to break the camel's back to make people rise up and really do horrible things to each other in the name of hopelessness. But, you know, I don't know what's been done about it. And that's also the other thing. I'm somebody, communication is key. I believe that if I heard from my president, my fellow Nigerians, this is what is happening, this is why it's happening, this is what I'm doing about it, this is what you can do about it, this is how we're going to band together to make a country that your children and your children's children will be able to enjoy. We're going to have to go there. I mean, this thing has been happening for decades, really. It's been coming. No one's unaware of that. But what is the plan? What is our future? Like, so, you know, and I'm not even that politically savvy. I'm not I'm not someone who's got answers. I'm not anything but it's uncertain times. It's unpleasant times. And I'm hoping for the best and preparing for the worst. Thank you.